So Jeff, you talked about leaving the teaching career, and I can kind of, it's like another lifetime to you, right?
Well, the teaching world I was fired from for two different universities.
Oh,
And
okay.
they don't like free speech and real empirical evidence too much in the universities if you want the truth. But what I chose to leave was the PhD work, which I was closing in on the dissertation. And it just, when I was getting my master's, it was enjoyable. I got to do all my research in metaphysical Buddhism and quantum physics, and I wanted to continue a lot of that and study a philosopher named Deleuze, who's a wonderful French philosopher. There was a Deleuze expert at Purdue University here in West Lafayette, where I live, and I was going to study with him. And it was great. He's a nice guy, and there was a lot of good scholars here for that. But I just lost the passion. It did not fit anymore. It was too narrow. I wanted to expand out and to do everything kind of like what I'm doing now with my radio show and talking to people like you and so forth.
Good. Well, yesterday's show, we went into the, I guess, dark side a bit, talked about the rituals within the church and the corruption, I guess, with that. And also, so we're getting a really good idea of what has inspired you. And we're doing a process called the initiations where we actually have to dig down deep within ourselves and find out what makes us tick so that we can get in line with our true soul purpose. And in getting to know you, and when you talk about these different teachings that you've studied, philosophies that you studied and taught, and how you've kind of walked away from a bunch of that and just decided this is more me, and you took that leap of faith, right, to do what you wanted to do that was more in line with you.
Yeah, I didn't hear everything you said because it blocked out for about 15 seconds. But yeah, it's I was trying to pursue all my meditation work and metaphysics through academia, and then I became somewhat of a political activist. Well, pretty earnest political activist for a while. I would say from 2003 to 2006, and that doesn't fit in the university at all. I'm not really so much an activist anymore, more of a Thoreauvian civil disobedient, I would say, in the tradition of Thoreauvian. But yeah, it's. We have to shape. My idea is, I don't know if I will be the one to do this or one of the many to do this. I think Risa will be and others. But what we need to do is we need to basically create a new academia. I think we are already. But the academia that exists is an absolute disgrace to humanity. It's the enemy of humanity. Everything that's true is they hide. Everything that's false, they try to teach you. Like this idea that we evolved from monkeys and that you're obsessed with these global warming, all these theories, and it's very tiring. Students, go into huge debt to learn all this garbage theorization, and if you bring out empirical evidence, you're attacked. Believe it or not, I would do that in universities because the empirical evidence will attack the theories. And I did not fit for those reasons. But so my point is, we need to recreate the learning world in a huge, expansive sense. Alternative medicine, meditation, real science, metaphysics. These are all one topic. And shows like yours with Risa, well, I think mine too, are great places to start. And nothing could be more exciting and good for our souls than doing this. And we're just going to take over because everybody knows deep down that the universities are dead, and they never. If there's a big discovery made in them, it's just kept quiet. Like, for example, the golden ratio, phi, 6.168, was just discovered in the to be embedded in quantum patterns. Okay, I mean, that's a huge, ultra-massive discovery, why? Because it leads to evidence that there's great order and intelligence built into the quantum field that is everywhere. And it's kept real, it was published in Science and published in Nature, the big academic journals, but it's kept real quiet. The news won't report on it. They'll just report on all this garbage that they do with Tiger Woods and everything. But we don't have to be quiet. We can voice these discoveries as loud as we want, because whole new ways of looking at our reality, which are completely in line with ancient traditions like Soto Zen Buddhism or Indian Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism, and Christian mysticism and so forth, they're very much in line with all of those traditions. The new science that's come. The new science is just the real science. It's just basically an overturning of all this garbage theory, which people usually call science, which exists in the universities. And I'm not just saying these things. I was in the universities. I taught in 6 different universities. I was a graduate student in 2 for a master's and PhD, and was an undergraduate in 2 at 2 different times in my life. I go on my show and I attack head on the academic theorization. Anything from plate tectonics to the overall concept of evolution. You name it. I don't do it just, I believe it's wrong. No, I go into their work and find out through their research that what they are asserting to be real. For example, if you deny hollow Earth. If you actually go and look at the people the geologists who study the structure of the Earth, their work actually gives huge evidence that there's a hollow Earth, or an expanding Earth, a hollow expanding Earth, and they just deny it and talk about the plate tectonics theory. So we need to reshape things in the way that things are good for the soul for us, and it's because a new world is definitely coming into existence. And the bizarre thing is it's all happening really because of the Internet. I'd like to say books, too, but that's definitely secondary. The Internet is doing it. And the funny thing is the Illuminati masters, they own the Internet. They're allowing this to happen, which is really interesting, So this is somehow part of a great plan. Maybe they can't control it. Maybe we're just moving into the next part of the zodiac or something, and this is just, we just entered a whole new numerological time where into the 2000s rather than the 19s and the 18s, and how those numbers all have ones. Now there's much far fewer ones in everybody's name or in everybody's birth date. So that changes our to have all these 2s in there changes people enormously, numerologically speaking. And maybe that's part of what's behind it. Maybe it's beyond the control of these Illuminati things or whatever they are behind the scenes. So I can keep going. But
well, the Internet's also used for the propagation of pornography and false advertisements and all kinds of other scams, basically, and negative energies. So to allow it maybe isn't quite. If they try and block something, they have to block it all and put something in place. So I guess maybe it's a beast that they thought they were planting for their own benefit that's turning out to be turning them upside down. So
those are good points. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you have.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, am I still on, Annette?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just applauding what you're stating there. That is about the universities and the mind control level of energy that is put on people and the restriction to knowledge that is there, because I was in the university system, not in quite the level you were, but I had the same feeling about it, that you couldn't really ever speak your mind truly, and they have such very interesting ways of controlling thought. But thank you very much for bringing that up, Jeff. That was very insightful.
I just want to say, if people like that, I've got on my schedule for my show tomorrow at antimatterradio.com a whole hour-long show with a lot of new information on what the university systems really are all about, just after a lot of thought about how they,
what time?
My experiences in them, at 11 Eastern at antimatterradio.com. So it'll be fun to do that show, that's for sure.
Mm.
You need to open your chat room and do them live, though. No, you can do
well. I'm getting more and more pressure to do that. You're definitely right.
Okay, I'll be quiet. Thank you, Annette. Thanks, Jeff.
No, that's okay. So I like that. Thank you, Isa, for saying all that, because I was actually a bit where I was going. It's very inspiring to hear you talking with such passion and to have someone like you who can actually meet things head on with facts and bring things out into attention, into public attention, based with facts instead of just this, I think this, and this is just my gut feeling.
Yeah, so, you just have to do the work to go in and if they tell us that DNA, for example, follows from a chimpanzee's DNA, and there are these patterns in our DNA that are in the chimpanzee's DNA as well, so therefore we can prove we evolved from chimpanzees. Well, people need to not just believe that. You have to go and actually look at their claims and read their research articles. And when you do, you find out it's all garbage. And people have a hard time believing. How could Harvard scholars and University of Florida scholars and all these people come out with all this trash? But it really is what happens. If you have a hard time believing that, well, I would just suggest to you, we had one of the coldest winters here in Indiana, and fruit trees were freezing in Florida. But all the academics are lining up to use their government research grants to study global warming. So there's your proof right there that the whole thing just needs to be thrown away. It's just a debt-creating prison is what it is. But anyways, I could go on. You probably want to
with
topic.
No, it's okay. We're going to be talking about telementation on this show, and we're just sort of bringing it out with what inspired you to come down this road, which is getting some real truth happening and people to wake up, right?
Yeah. Telementation is my favorite topic of all. And a lot of people yesterday asked, what do we do about the Illuminati, this metaphysical non-human presence that controls the world, which, as we discussed yesterday, you can actually empirically verify is there. So the real solution actually is telementation, and any solution we gave yesterday would be secondary to this. Now, first I'd like to just say that I've written a book called Telementation. It's on Amazon, but if you want to get it cheaper than Amazon, you can get it at my website, which is antimatterradio.com. And if you do, I mail a free movie that I've made about telementation as well called The Inner Starseed. It's all that significantly cheaper than just the book on Amazon. But what telementation is, firstly, is, some people just say, it's the law of attraction. And that is not necessarily true. It's something greater and more expansive than the law of attraction. But I can start to explain it first through the lens or the discussion of the law of attraction. The law of attraction basically is this idea that your consciousness can attract certain scenarios and arrangements in reality according to your liking. Now, what I say with telementation similarly but also differently, telementation is your ability to will into existence anything that you want through your deepest feeling states of your consciousness. Now, let me say something. We'll talk a little bit more about
That's the law of resonance.
Pardon me?
So you're getting into the other universal laws, resonance. Okay.
Yeah, these are the big laws of reality. What really shapes reality is not primarily, electromagnetism. and whatnot. It's that plays a part, of course, but that's secondary. The real laws of reality are, what is the shape of your soul? Your soul is the deepest feelings in you, which anybody can close their eyes and feel them right now if you just shut out the egotistical, the active motion and moving part of your consciousness. There's a stillness behind it all, and you can go feel that. It's a feeling state. But one thing I want to point out, I don't want to attack the people who wrote the book The Secret too much here, because I would rather build alliances with people. But I would like to say that the book was written in somewhat of a reaction to that book. Now, firstly, I noticed that these patterns, when I became a very ardent Buddhist, sort of a silly phrase, but it's definitely true. I was quite determined to do meditation back in the 1990s when I first started. I noticed these patterns. If I would will something, if I would be doing intensive meditation and existing in very powerful feeling states within me, I would notice if I just simply thought of something, in some cases it would just almost appear right before my eyes. It would be, or maybe an hour later, and these correlations just screamed out at me, and it was just overwhelmingly obvious. But to tell you the truth, I didn't care back then. I didn't have a family then, and I was just I had a job where I worked a couple hours a day, and I just kind of wandered around and read books and did whatever I wanted. So I didn't really have anything I wanted to get or care. I didn't care about anything like, the results of, hey, let's will into existence $1 million or something. I didn't care about that. I still don't care about $1 million. But, but later when I had a family, when I first started to think about having children and so forth with my wife, then there was some things I wanted. I want, safety and a good house and so forth. And, so I started to think about how, you can use these states of these correlations between your deep feelings and physical reality to get things that you want: safety, peace, happiness, health, spiritual joy, friendship, anything. All these wonderful things which are innate and natural to humans. So what I started doing that back, I don't know, maybe 2001 or 2, which I started experimenting with that. And I took some notes. I wanted to sort of perfect how the technique would work if you want to steer this process within you. And I started taking notes about that here and there, and that turned into this book, Telementation, which is slightly a reaction to The Secret, because in my opinion, my strong opinion, the book The Secret fails at telling, again, I don't want to mean to attack it. I know it sounds like I am, but I just have to state, I have to be honest. I think the book The Secret fails to teach people how to do it, and people only come away frustrated. And my evidence for that is I talked to dozens and dozens of students when I was still teaching in the university. I taught Eastern philosophy in the Purdue University system, so that it attracted people, no pun intended, to that were interested in this kind of stuff would be in the classes, and I had huge 50, 75 student classes often. And so I would find out, not surprisingly, lots of students were in there reading The Secret and wanted to know how it worked, and they quickly found out through learning about Buddhism, as I taught it, that there were heavy similarities between a lot of Buddhism and what's implied in the book The Secret. And everybody told me, I can't get it to work. It doesn't work. And I said, well, that's exactly because the book The Secret doesn't teach you how to do it. It teaches you to have, use visualization techniques and belief and things like that. Those are the very things which you absolutely cannot use to shape reality. Those may lead to synchronicities here and there. But if you want something significant, say, say you live in Pakistan and you want peace, so you need to telementationally influence your whole reality and overpower all these other fear state consciousnesses within people around you. You need something more than just visualization and little synchronicities which don't do any. Those are just almost out of your control. They kind of just happen, and you can't steer them much. You just see them show up, every day or something. So I just find it unfortunate that the book that became so popular, it's in airport bookstores and so forth, and they were on Oprah and everything, is a book that really, in my opinion, fails to show you how to do it, because the very thing that we need to do this practice of using our consciousness to shape reality is pretty strict. Well, I don't know if I want to put it that way. You need to do meditation. And they really don't say that ever in the book The Secret. And you need to focus deeply on your feeling states. I think in the movie The Secret, only one time in the whole film, it's about 30 minutes into it, one person says, you need to feel things into existence. That's it. And then the whole rest of the movie is all about visualization and belief. And it's very unfortunate because then that's why people read that book and get frustrated. And so part of me was trying to write a book that's really an instruction manual that teaches how exactly to do this specific technique, which is in all of us and should be used for things like peace and happiness.
What The Secret did do, well, first of all, it was based on a book from Wallace D. Wattles, was it not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so they basically grabbed, and his concepts were handed down from thought teachings.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it did do was open a huge doorway into the world, into the consciousness that
mm-hmm.
brought the possibility for changing your life out. So I know that it wasn't perfect either, and we have a few friends in the Gold Ring that were actually involved with that group from its inception and they're bringing their skills forward here with us, and they talk about, the intentions were really good to begin with. It's just, of course, the money systems and different people with power come in and sort of turn it into something different. But
yeah.
the idea that you can just visualize, and this is what they say, it's like in The Secret, one man, I can't remember the name of everyone, I watched it so long ago, but there was one guy who said he was on a course when he was younger, in his late teens, and they had him draw out, write out scripts, what you want to have in 10 years from now or whatever, and it was a big house and pictures and everything of it, and then 10 years later he's buying this same big house, and he was surprised to find this article and when he was packing. So what's missing in there that he manifested this, and he's one of the people saying, this happened for me, it can happen for you. So what is he not saying? Because it wasn't just sitting there writing it down and visualizing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly people in The Secret are having success. So maybe it's just that they are. The only thing I know is that I could never get telementation to work unless I focused, really almost put aside belief in visualization and focused on what I call knowingness and deep feeling. And then it would work astonishingly powerfully. But if I focus on visualization and belief, I couldn't control those aspects of my consciousness, and they also would not get what I desired to emerge. Now, one thing, though, that's interesting and almost just bizarre is in The Secret, so you have to say something positive about them rather than, so I said my negative piece. Now to say something positive, yes, they have done us a great service by getting everybody, this is in the air everywhere, and people know deep down that there's something big behind that. So maybe maybe others do have success with that book, and but if they don't, maybe they'll reach out to Esther Hicks or something. She's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And but another thing is that, I forgot what I was going to say. It was something so good. I forgot.
And it was about The Secret.
Yeah, right.
It's okay. So we were talking about, what's missing from that book, and sort of one of the motivating factors for you having written yours, and you're bringing forward that you actually have to meditate. And there's more to it than just sitting down and clearing your mind. There's a process, right?
Yeah, I just remembered what I was going to say. The one thing that is just so amazing that they say in The Secret is there's that one fellow in there that says, almost a drunk way, he's just so elated. It's fun to watch that. He says, letters just arrive at my house with checks in them. I just don't know where they come from, how that happens, but they just do. Now, let me tell you, a lot of people probably hear that and say, oh, come on. There's only been 2 times in my life I've used telementation for money. And I got exactly the sums that I willed. One took 3 months and one took a week to get it. And of course, the time I did it that it took a week, I was doing telementation much more focused, in a focused way on that target of money. It was strictly because I needed money, and they were not great sums, just enough to support my family. If they were great sums, though, I wouldn't feel guilty if they were. But interestingly, I had that same experience letters showed up from everywhere, everything you could imagine, a refund here, a rebate, a gift from someone. It was just all of a sudden just this huge pouring in of checks. And I just thought that was so, because I just didn't believe when I saw The Secret that was true, that checks would just start showing up. But it is. It's just, and I just find that a very interesting metaphysical puzzle and a big clue. You know, if we can figure out why these things happen in this way, we can figure out interesting things about our reality. But yes, as far as what you were saying, meditation is, yeah, all I can say is I did witness many people saying the techniques of belief and visualization did not work. But people who have bought my book, Telementation, a lot of my radio listeners, they seem to be able to pick it up quite quickly, just reading the book. All you need to do is just find this deep feeling state within you, which is not difficult. And from that state, everything emerges in the cosmos. And we do this all together. And it's quite straightforward. And you can learn how to do it so readily that you just go to this feeling state. I call it the inner star seed in my book, or the feeling mass, 2 different phrases for it.